good morning.
Morning.
We have husband Tyson and wife Jamie here with us this week, and we have been meeting. I think this is our third meeting now about just some marital conflict, some arguing that you guys have had. There's been a lot of tension in the home with basic, understanding, feeling unappreciated, role responsibility type stuff. So I want to know how you guys have been doing over the last week since we met last.
Well, I suppose there's been some good days and some bad days. We had one particularly hard day. I had a long day and came home, and things weren't what I expected. So some tension and arguments around that.
Okay.
Some good days as well.
Okay. How do you think it went home?
I agree. It just kind of goes back and forth.
Okay. So some good and some bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I wanted to introduce to you today is kind of a quid pro quo, but a biblical version of that. So one of the things that we talked about is you feel like you bear the brunt of the weight as far as keeping the family running and things like that. And you feel underappreciated. And Tyson, you kind of feel the same way because you work very hard at your job and you don't feel appreciated in that role. And both of you just want a little bit more from each other. So, but instead of focusing on what you get, the kind of biblical version is let's focus on what you can give to your spouse. So what I want to do is, Tyson, I'll start with you. I want you to think of something that you could give to Jamie that you know would bless her, that you know that she's needing right now.
Probably maybe a night off from cooking and doing the dishes and putting the kids to bed. Probably would be something I could give her.
Okay. Jamie, how does that sound to you? Would that be a blessing to you?
Oh yeah, definitely.
It would. Okay. That's good. Mm-hmm. Jamie, now what about you? What could you give to Tyson?
Well, maybe I could give him some time so he can unwind after work and just be able to regroup before having to do everything that he needs to do at home too. So
okay,
some space for that.
Now, to work out some specifics, what would that look like for you? Her giving you time after work?
Maybe just when I get home, I can just go upstairs, take my work clothes off, lay on the bed for 30 minutes and not have to really figure out, okay, what's going on tonight? Take the kids out here, go play with, Austin outside, that kind of stuff, where I just have a little bit of time where I can kind of transition from work to home. And then I feel like, okay, I'm ready to do whatever I need to do this evening.
So I heard you mention 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That's
probably sufficient. Yeah.
Okay. Does 30 minutes seem like something that you could do?
Yeah, I think I can do that.
Now, so just so we're all clear before we enter into our verbal contract, is this something you would like Jamie to do every day this week or a couple times a week for the next month?
I don't know that it's something I have to have every day. I do think a couple times a week would probably be enough. I think it's not. I don't need that break necessarily every day, but a couple times a week might be helpful.
Okay. And is there a specific day that works best for you, for Tyson to just take the kids that evening and you don't have to worry about anything?
Nights where we have practice and that kind of thing to take the kids places. It might be nice to have a break so it's not continuous for me from the morning till bedtime.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, I know your work schedule kind of fluctuates, so we might not be able to nail down a specific day of the week, but as I mentioned, this is just kind of a verbal contract between the three of us. Just kind of solidifies the commitment, the agreement to follow through with this. And then we'll discuss that, see how that's going over the next week when we meet back next week. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Now, I wanted to move on and show you one other thing that I wanted work on with you guys, and eventually I want to give this to you for homework. So I'm going to go up to the poster board here, and Tyson, I'll do one of these for each of you. Tyson, I'll start with you. And Jamie. Tyson, one of the things that we talked about last week that is, and that you mentioned just now, is when you come home from work, you're stressed, you're tired, there's a lot going on. So imagine that you sit down and you relax, and Jamie's cleaning up from dinner, and she comes over and she brings you a bowl of ice cream while you are sitting on the couch relaxing. How does that make you feel?
It might be a little suspicious about, like, why is she doing this?
Okay. Suspicious. Well, what would you be thinking that would make you feel suspicious?
Well, like, maybe she's trying to get me to do something, or ask me for, basically, like, wondering, what's this all about? This is unusual. So is she trying to get me to do something?
So maybe like an ulterior motive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Now, what if she brought you this bowl of ice cream and it made you feel happy? What might you be thinking?
So if I felt happy, I think I'd feel like, oh, she realizes I had a hard day and I love ice cream, and she wants to bring me ice cream, and she's thinking about my needs.
Okay. So she's being considerate?
Yeah.
And thoughtful and loving. Okay, good. Jamie, I would like to do one of these for you. Let's say that you had a long day with the kids, and you just made dinner, you're cleaning up from dinner, and Tyson comes over and he says, I got this, just go, do something else. How would that make you feel?
I might be surprised first.
Surprised?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How would you be feeling? What might be a feeling that you have?
I just might be confused or just trying to figure out since that's not normal.
Okay. So what thought would you be having if he did that?
I guess just trying to figure out why he was doing it.
So kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
An ulterior motive?
Yeah.
Now, what if Tyson came over and did that and you felt relieved or happy?
Right.
What might you be thinking?
I'd be glad that he noticed that I was needing a break and that he was caring and just showing me love during that time.
Who cares about me? Okay. So what I just want to use this as a demo to show you that this would be the action, and this over here is how you feel or your emotion. But what I want you to focus on is the thought in between. Most people go from the action to the feeling, and they give very little attention to the thought that leads them there. And this is where we can get in trouble, because sometimes our thoughts can be irrational or maladaptive. They're just not true because they're led by our feelings. So what I would like for you guys to do this week as homework is I want each of you to journal separately, and it should look something like this. You can start in any category. A thought that you had what was happening when you had that thought, and then how did it make you feel, or an action, and then these two, or, you can start anywhere, but you fill in the whole row. And they don't all have to be negative. When you have a fight or a conflict, you can go to your journal and what happened, how did it make you feel. But also, if Tyson does something, like on the quid pro quo, when he gives you that night, I want you to journal about your feelings and your thoughts, and vice versa. And then next week, we can talk about changing the thoughts, realizing, is this true? And then how to correct those thought patterns. But for now, I just want you guys to journal this whole week, and then we'll take a look at that next week. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to review what we discussed today. We talked about your week and how your week has been going, and then we kind of discussed this biblical quid pro quo and specified 2 actions that you guys are going to do for each other this week. And then I want you to journal your thoughts and feelings and the actions that led to those this week. And then we'll come back and we'll address those again next week.
Sounds good.
Okay, that sounds good.
Thank you guys for coming in today.
Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.